January the 29th. 11 games, a lot to get through tonight. We will talk about some interesting performances, a couple of injuries, all the usual stuff that we get in the NBA. Let's get into it, shall we? This is the Wednesday postgame show. Until next time, let's go balls deep.
I'm the type to get shit done. You the type to observe. March Madness on my speakers, but today's November 23rd. Got something loud in the blunt, yeah. I don't say what I want, yeah. Probably somewhere sunny getting tan. Foreign women in the sun, yeah. That's all that I need. That's all that I need. That's all that I need. Got my brothers with me. Got my brothers with me, and my mama's healthy. That's all that I need.
Welcome to the Balls Deep podcast, brought to you by Fantasy Basketball International. I am Adam King. Find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at AdamKing91. Find us on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere, everywhere you consume fantasy basketball content. We are also proudly part of the Old Man Squad at Old Man Squad on Twitter. We have 11 games to get through. Just scrolling through here. I was trying to remember what injuries we had today. There was nothing really significant, so yeah, that's all right. We'll get to it. Let's jump straight into the games. I've even got the screen right today, so there you go. Happy days. Game number 1, Brooklyn and Charlotte. What an epic battle of nothingness. Brooklyn get the win. Charlotte get the loss, but they get the win in terms of standings. 104-83. Brooklyn. The Nets, we've talked about them for, it feels like ad nauseum for the last few weeks. The unpredictability, the uncertainty regarding minutes, value. And tonight really did nothing to clear any of that up. Look, if you streamed, I don't know. I mean, even their box score is just uninspiring, isn't it? Look, Keon Johnson was probably your best bet tonight. He had 18 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, and a block. Zaire Williams, 33 minutes, 13, 3 and 3 with 2 steals. Ben Simmons returned. He had 10 points, 6 assists, a steal in 23 minutes. Ebwoma, he played 30 minutes off the bench, had 14 points with a steal. Again, I just don't know. Day'Ron Sharpe, this is, I guess, a talking point. Day'Ron Sharpe left this game with a hamstring. That probably rules him out for a few games, which means that I guess Nick Claxton has to play a bit more. He might have to try. So he's probably not available anywhere, but you might get a nice little bump in value over the next couple of games. Maybe a sell high window might open if we're lucky. We just don't know. I mean, I'm not saying they definitely will play him more, but there is an opportunity here at least. For Charlotte, there we go. For Charlotte, look, let's start with Nick Smith. We've talked about him as a player we probably need to be adding. His production over the last few games is not backing up that statement. 2 points, 2 assists, 5 rebounds in 27 minutes. I do worry. I think he's an ad, but I do worry that with no LaMelo there, and I think I've talked about this, he's just not going to get the looks. He's going to have to find his own shot a little bit more, and he went 1 of 10 here. Now, poor efficiency from a rookie guard or a young guard is nothing new, but with LaMelo gone for at least a week, and let's just pencil in the All-Star break probably, I'd hold Nick Smith, but I think it's going to be pretty rough, and I do wonder if his upside is high enough that you have to hold him. I think I have him in one league. It's a 16-team league. I will be exploring other options tonight. It's a weird sort of a league, though. Standard leagues, probably, but I absolutely get it if you want to move on. Miles Bridges, we talked about him. His numbers are going to be pretty good, but the efficiency won't be terrific. And we were pretty bang on, 23 and 13, 2 steals, 2 blocks. 8 of 21 from the field. So that'll be the downside here for the next week, but the other numbers should be good. Josh Okogie, who was a relatively popular streaming candidate tonight, he had 9 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal. So not fantastic. I would be holding him, though. Micic had 15, 7, and 6. That's actually pretty good. So I still don't think his upside is high at all. But if you want to grab him, I think we'll get to a point where we're seeing a little bit more of Isaiah Wong, KJ Simpson, maybe Daquan Jeffries. Those guys aren't worth picking up yet, but probably not in the next week either. I don't think we're at that point of the season where they're going to run those guys out. Diabate would be the other one here. He had 8 rebounds and a steal, 13 points, unexpected. But if you need rebounds and defensive stats, Musa is not too bad when Mark Williams is out. They have 2 more games this week. It is a back-to-back, so there is a pretty good chance Mark Williams only plays in one of those. So have a look at the schedule. Maybe Diabate is worth holding. You'll get another game out of him. But also, maybe he's not. All right, let's go to game number 2, Toronto at Washington. Look, another battle of teams that presumably don't want to win. Toronto get the win. Washington were disgusting in this one. 106 to 82. They didn't really need to push their starters too much. They all played under 30 minutes. Ochai Agbaji got the starting nod with Grady Dick out. It was just an illness, I'm pretty sure. So he will potentially be back in the next game or the one after that. So I don't really think there's a lot to talk about here. We got 21 minutes of Orlando Robinson. I've talked about him a few times. I like him, but he's not going to play enough most nights with Jakob Poeltl playing very well. Bruce Brown, he'd been playing pretty well. This was solid as well. 10, 4, and 2 with 3 steals and a block. Only 19 minutes, but again, this was a blowout. I would hold Bruce Brown if you picked him up, because I do think we could get some sneaky value here, at least until the trade deadline. On to Washington. It's not pretty reading there at all. Jordan Poole laid an absolute turd, 3 points. He had 2 blocks, weirdly, 2 assists. This was Jordan Poole from last year. We have to hold him, but God, if this is an indication of what's to come in Washington, it is not going to be fun at all. I can see that Chad has popped something in the chat here. Thoughts and prayers of those impacted by the tragedy unfolding in DC. Wonder what this does for Lakers Wizards tomorrow. I have no idea what you're talking about. If you can elaborate, that would be good. That is just because this sort of news, things that happen in the US, we don't get them on our news. I have to go hunting for it. So I just haven't really been on Twitter or anything today. So I don't know what that is, but you could let me know. And yeah, we'll discuss it if we need to. And you know what? I don't even want to talk about Washington because the performances were not fun. Detroit at Indiana. Pacers, high scoring, not surprising, 133 over Detroit, 119. Tobias Harris, welcome back. We got 19 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. So, yeah, great. I mean, if we could get this every night, then we hold on to him. If you dropped him, you probably don't feel great about yourself, but this is one game out of whatever he's been putting up over the last, I don't know, what has it been, a month or something? So he's still pretty borderline for me, but I think if you want to hold, okay. Asar Thompson had 10, 3, and 1 with a steal in his 19 minutes. Those minutes are the concern. They're very up and down. Makes him hard to justify as a must roster player. Jalen Duran. So Isaiah Stewart, if you were watching this, it's not really surprising. Isaiah Stewart, who I don't know if there's a suspension coming. This is the NBA we're talking about. So I think there was something happened. I don't know when it was. They played the Pacers and he had that stupid comment about the Lego and whatever. So a bit of animosity here. He seemed to come into this game just fired up already. I think he was going at it with James Johnson on the bench. And Thomas Bryant obviously did something to annoy him. I didn't see the whole game, so I didn't see what led up to it. But basically, Bryant was just standing in the middle of the key. Isaiah Stewart just pushed him over. Bryant had to be restrained by his teammates. No one tried to restrain Isaiah Stewart. So he pushed him over. It was reviewed. It was determined to be a flagrant 2, so he was ejected. Sure, that's very Isaiah Stewart. Seems to get ejected once a month. But then there's footage, and it's not hard to find. Go and look it up on Twitter or Blue Sky, I'm sure. There's footage of him twice. So once when he was in the huddle and it was being reviewed, making gun symbols or like pointing his fingers at the Pacers bench as though his fingers were a gun, making a gun symbol, whatever we want to call it. He then also did that after he was ejected, as he left the court. He indicated to the crowd that he wasn't too happy by raising his middle finger. I mean, surely this has to be a suspension, doesn't it? He has a track record of doing this. I don't care. It doesn't matter from a fantasy perspective, but it's just, what an idiot, really. But Jalen Duren played 31 minutes. He had 14 and 10 with a block. He probably plays a little bit more if Isaiah Stewart is suspended, but he has sort of affirmed himself as that primary centre, well ahead of Isaiah Stewart, rightfully so. Cade Cunningham had 32, 5 and 9 with a steal. Another very, very good performance from hopefully all-star bound Cade Cunningham. Tim Hardaway had 3 points. This is the Tim Hardaway journey, very up and down. Malik Beasley, 20 points with 6 threes. So again, much prefer him over Tim Hardaway. Onto the Pacers. Aaron Nesmith did move into the starting lineup. We speculated a little bit here who would come in with Mathurin out and with Nembhard out. We got Ben Shepherd and Nesmith there. Look, Ben Shepherd hit some pretty big shots in this one. I don't know. His role is pretty confusing to me, but good to see him out there. I'm not adding him at all. Siakam had a very nice game. Miles Turner, no blocks, but 24 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal. Tyrese Halliburton had it going tonight, 37 and 8 with a steal. TJ McConnell, we finally got a good TJ game, 14 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals in 21 minutes. 21's rough. 22 to 24 is enough for TJ, but he hadn't been playing this. So obviously Nembhard being out helped. If Nembhard misses more time, TJ probably gets or moves into that streaming discussion once again. All right. Oh, hang on. So we've got some stuff here. So a truly American situation, says Chad. Collision between a Black Hawk and a commercial plane. Reagan International Airport currently shut down. Presumably all air traffic over DC is currently shut down. Okay. Yeah, well, I mean, is this a situation where people have died, or is this just have they crashed in the air? Have they crashed on the tarmac? More information. I mean, I could go and look it up, but I'm doing a show, so I can't. I guess I'm just curious because obviously these major airports would like to get things like this cleared up just because of the amount of people, the amount of planes coming through. 75 dead. Okay, so it is was this a mid-air? Yeah, crashed in mid-air. Okay. Okay, then maybe, yes, this is obviously not just a little ding on the runway and people look silly. This is a big deal. So, yeah, I don't know how this will impact the Lakers game tomorrow. Yeah, and it's not even like the Lakers can just jump in a bus and drive. It's a fair hike from LA to Washington. So yeah, watch this space, I suppose. All right, let's get back to the games, and then we'll do questions. Sacramento at Philadelphia for the Kings. Only 18 minutes for Keon Ellis, so he is just a streamer. And look, honestly, he was -6 in this game. He wasn't that good. I know he has been good, but sometimes there are reasons for them not playing him. It's not like every game he is a +20 when the rest of the team is a -10. He's not that good. He's just a good defensive player. And honestly, he's a good defensive player when you compare him to Malik Monk, Domantas Sabonis, Keegan Murray, DeMar DeRozan. So, yeah, still a nice streamer, still very active on the defensive end. As for the starters, they were all pretty good. No real standouts here. Malik Monk had team high 21 points. Sabonis had a triple-double. Keegan Murray, 17 points with a steal and a block, so a nice night for him. So there's not really a ton to talk about here when they're healthy. They did lose the game, though, so that's probably the bigger talking point to Philadelphia, who win again without Paul George and Joel Embiid. I don't know if that's saying something about this team, but Kelly Oubre continues to play very well, 15, 6 and 3 with 4 steals. Justin Edwards started, didn't have a great game, only 23 minutes, 9 points, 3 assists. He's probably a hold as long as Paul George is out. Yabusele, likewise, didn't have a great game. He is a hold. Maxey just doing what Maxey has to do. Eric Gordon had 3 threes. He's a nice 3-point streamer at the moment. Kyle Lowry, dust him off. 8 assists, 13 points. I don't know if I can tell you to go and add Kyle Lowry, can I? That feels wrong. Feels dirty coming out of my mouth, but maybe you can. There's so many injuries there at the moment. He's probably going to be tired now for a week, so he might have to rest. But look, if you need assists, sure. Let's go to the next one. All right, Denver at New York, 122-112. The Knicks get the win for the Nuggets. So Aaron Gordon moved into the starting lineup here. Christian Brown to the bench. Well, that didn't work very well. Whether they go, I don't think they'll go back to Brown over Gordon. I didn't think Gordon would get to 30 minutes before the All-Star break, or at least the trade deadline, but he did. He had 15, 6 and 1, so we're picking him up if he was dropped. Russell Westbrook still played 37 minutes, 14 and 4. So he's a very strong hold at this point. Jokic picked up 2 he's a perfect example of coaches not playing guys when they get early fouls and then just wasting opportunities. He picked up 2 fouls very early. They subbed him off for, I think he played 4 minutes or something. They subbed him off. He basically played the whole second half. But yeah, he came out of the game a lot earlier than he usually would because of those foul issues. And he ended with 3 fouls. So just play them. Like Nikola Jokic he's not old mate from down the road who just fouls carelessly. He can play with fouls. These guys know how to do it. He finished with 17, 6 and 6, 2 steals and a block, which for Jokic actually looks pretty average, but it's still a great line. But he lost momentum. He was pulled from the rotation. They mixed things up. Just leave him out there. It's not complicated. I know it's not going to happen. It's almost an unwritten rule that if you pick up a certain number of fouls in a certain number of minutes, you have to come off. Even with the team I coach, if my kids pick up early fouls, I let them play through it. You have to learn to be able to do it. Christian Brown had 13, 5 and 1 off the bench. He'd been very good prior to this. If he's going to go back to the bench, if his minutes are going to be in the mid to high 20s, he could trend towards being a drop again. We will see. For New York, unsurprisingly, Josh Hart played through his knee injury, had 15, 5 and 5 in 34 minutes. OG Anunoby, no defensive stats, but he's shooting the ball well at the moment. 23, 4 and 1. That probably makes him a bit of a sell high. People love points. They love threes, more so than steals and blocks. So now might be an opportunity to try and move OG. Cat, only 30 minutes, 4 fouls. Yeah, look, it was a... He played really well against Jokic, but Jokic was limited because of the fouls. And anyway, good night for Cat, 14, 10 and 5 with a block. So a little bit quiet offensively, but still fine. And then off the bench, Miles McBride had 12 points. Precious Achiuwa, 8-3 with a steal. We're not looking at any of those guys. And we don't need to look at the Knicks anymore. All right, Cleveland at... sorry, I'm reading the updates on the thing. Cleveland at Miami. We had no Darius Garland. He was out due to rest. Jalen Tyson moved into the starting lineup and did nothing. But it was Ty Jerome who stepped up, 20 points, 7 assists, a steal. He's a nice stream whenever Donovan Mitchell or Darius Garland are out. They are on a back-to-back, I believe. They play tomorrow, I think. Pretty sure that's what I saw. Maybe? Do they? Let's have a look. Let me confirm. I don't want to lie. Okay, they play Atlanta tomorrow. So look out for a potential rest game for Donovan Mitchell tomorrow. Maybe Jared Allen. I don't think it'll be Mobley. He's just come back from injury. So, yeah, we could get 1 or 2 rests tomorrow, which would mean Ty Jerome, George Niang, Max Strus probably. If you pick them up, you might be able to hold them through tomorrow. For Miami, did I say the score? 126-106. So pretty easy win for the Cavs. For Miami, they don't look great at the moment. Bam played well, 21, 9 and 3 with a block. Kelly Ware started 5, 4 and 3, no steals, no blocks, 2 of 6 from the field. So this is on the low end, obviously, for him. He will be better than this, but he's a rookie center, so this is to be expected. Duncan Robinson had 3 threes. Highsmith had 2 blocks, 2 threes. Not really looking at him. Jaime Jaquez. Now, I don't think there was an injury for him, was there? I don't recall seeing anything. He was just terrible. Am I right in saying that? I don't even know where he is. Yeah. Anyway, I don't remember seeing an injury, so we will assume he was just bad. 0 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist. This is why I'd rather have Jovic. I just feel like Jovic is slightly safer. He had 11 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds. So not great from him, but certainly better than 0 points, 3 rebounds, and 1 assist, which is what we got from Jaquez. Terry Rozier stepped up here, 22, 4 and 4 with a steal. If we were going to get this, then you have to go and add him, but this is not what we've been getting from Terry Rozier. So take a flyer, absolutely. See if maybe he's figured it out. Maybe that's wishful thinking, though. Chicago at Boston. Relatively comfortable win for the Celtics, 122-100. Kobe White did, in fact, return, so that injury reporting by the Bulls, where they said he was out a week at least, was obviously a lie. 16 points, 3 assists, so not a super night for Kobe White, but good to have him back. Lonzo Ball, Ayo Dosunmu both started, so no Zach LaVine, still no Patrick Williams in the starting lineup. Dosunmu had 12, 4 and 4 with a steal. Lonzo had 9, 3 and 4 with a steal. Both are worth rostering at this point. Not a good game for Vooch here. We got actually a little bit more of Jalen Smith. A lot of chatter about him as a nice trade deadline stash, which I think he is. He had 9 and 11 with 3 blocks. Patrick Williams has looked better off the bench, so I think he might even be worth grabbing. 16, 7 and 4 with a block off the bench. So maybe just giving him more opportunity running with the second unit is what could unlock Patrick Williams. I don't know if unlock and Patrick Williams are two phrases we want to say in the same sentence too often, but yeah, look, he's looked good in a couple of games. So if you want to take a bit of a chance on him, I think you could. For Boston, as I said, pretty comfortable win here. Derek White looked better offensively in this one, 22 points, 5 assists with a block. That buy low opportunity probably hasn't closed completely, but it is starting to close. Not a great game for Tatum, but they didn't need him to be great. Kristaps Porzingis stepped up 34 and 11 with 3 steals. Jaylen Brown had 28, 6 and 6. Drew Holiday, 6 points, 7 rebounds. He is not, I don't think, a must-roster player. Peyton Pritchard had 10 points, 7 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. He's probably in that category as well. That's actually a tough question. Who would I rather, Drew Holiday or Peyton Pritchard? I reckon that's actually a discussion that we could have. I'm not going to, but we could. Jaden Springer, look, we're not rostering him, but I do remember when he was traded from Philly last year. Yeah, I think it was last year. A lot of the Sixers fans were very, very confused as to why Philly just gave up on Jaden Springer, because he is a very good player. 2 steals, 1 block, 4 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. He's not going to play 20 minutes every night. If he ever did step into a role of 26 minutes plus, I think he'd be someone we'd have to roster. I don't think we're going to get there this year. But yeah, he is a name to watch or keep an eye on, especially in your keeper leagues and your dynasty leagues. All right, Clippers at San Antonio, 128 to the Clippers, 116 to the Spurs. We had a Ivica Zubac sort of bowled over Wemby, and to be fair, there's not much of Wemby, so it doesn't take much to knock him over. It was quite funny, actually, if you watch the replay. Wemby got up, annoyed, and fair enough too, but he sort of charged. I don't know if I could call it charging, but he sort of was running towards Zubac, and his teammates had to hold him back. It didn't take much to hold him back, to be fair. I don't know if it almost looked as though his reaction was, "Hey, I'm angry. What are you doing? I'm going to run at you." But if they just let him run at Zubac, I don't actually think he would have known what to do. He looked quite sort of confused and what am I doing kind of thing. And when they held him back, it was almost like, "Oh, thank you for holding me back," because I don't know what I was going to do there. Zubac had a good game, 21 and 22. These were the numbers we were seeing early in the season from him. Kawhi, 29 minutes, so small increase there again, 27, 6 and 7 with a block. He is rounding into form nicely. Norm Powell had 27 and 8, continues his really strong play this season. 21 and 11 for James Harden. The assists are pretty high, but if you've got him, you expect that. And yeah, our bench here, not interested in anyone. Derek Jones, he's fine. He's playing enough to be probably rostered as a back-end guy. The production's a little bit inconsistent, but opportunity is there for him. For the Spurs, Wemby had 23 and 12, 3 blocks, 2 steals. So not elite, but still very, very good. Harrison Barnes had 3 defensive stats, so there you go. That's something. 15 points. Steph Castle had 20 points, 3 rebounds, 2 steals. His numbers have been pretty good lately. Devin Vassell had 19, 3 and 3. Chris Paul, 7 and 7. So a lot of these other guys, Castle, Devin Vassell, Sohan will get better. They seem to be holding their value or increasing their value. Chris Paul is not. Do remember that there could be a trade coming here. So, yeah, I wouldn't go adding, dropping, doing anything like that at this point. Jeremy Sohan played 26 minutes off the bench. He had 7 points with 4 assists, 2 steals and 1 block. He will be back in the starting lineup, I assume, although Steph Castle has been playing well. But I do think that they will move Sohan back in there at some point. All right. Dallas at New Orleans. 1 point win for Dallas. So they're basically taking any win they can get at this point. And just looking at their record now, where are they sitting in the West? So they're at 542. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So they're 8th in the West. They're one loss behind Minnesota. Yeah, it's pretty jumbled in there. I think if they can hover around this range, and then once they get Luka back and Derek Lively will come back eventually, they could be. They'll sort of be that team, I guess, who might be in the play-in, but you certainly wouldn't want to be facing them if you're the Thunder or the Rockets or someone at the top there. I wouldn't want to be facing Dallas if they're healthy. All right, for Dallas, the players that were available. PJ Washington, very good. Hopefully no one has dropped him. I know we had that question a couple of times. Please don't drop him. Klay Thompson had 20 points, hit 6 threes. So that's, what's that? It's like 13 threes in the last 2 games. I think he had 7 in the last one. Still on a bit of a minutes limit, but 29 is better. You're not going to get much else from him. Sometimes you luck into a steal or 2, but 6 threes, that's about all you can ask for from Klay. Gafford continues to play very well. Dinwiddie had 11 and 7. He's a hold. Grimes, 17 points, 3 steals is nice, but 20 minutes, it's very borderline for me. I'd much rather Dinwiddie at this point, given he is starting and playing starters or close to starters minutes. Najee Marshall returned. He had 5 points off the bench, only 15 minutes. He will ramp up. The question is, does he ramp up enough before Luka gets back? You could add him if you want to try and get ahead of this. Maybe you get 2 or 3 games of 28-minute a night Najee Marshall. But we also don't know when Luka's coming back. For the Pelicans, Trey Murphy, another fantastic performance, 32, 6 and 4 with a steal. Make sure he's rostered. Why would he be sitting anywhere? I don't even know why I said that. If you want to sell high, you could. I probably wouldn't. I've probably talked about this. When I was in New Orleans a couple of years ago and I saw the Pelicans and was lucky enough to see them when they were fully healthy. So I saw all of their players warming up, practicing. Trey Murphy didn't actually play. He was still out at the start of last year with a knee, I think. But he was pretty good to go. Like, we were watching the warm-ups and we were down courtside. And of all of the Pelicans players and of all of the players I got close enough to actually get a good look at, Trey Murphy, he looks elite. Like, I think he could be a very good player for a lot of years to come. So if you want to sell high, you could. I'm not. I've got him in a couple of leagues. I'm just holding him. Zion had 29, 6 and 7 with 2 steals. Messi failed to score again. He did have 4 blocks, but obviously as they get these guys back, his offensive opportunities are going to be very limited. He's clearly the 5th option on offense. And we've got Ingram to come back as well. So if you are holding Messi, it is purely for rebounds and blocks. And even the rebounds are a bit up and down because Trey Murphy is a decent rebounder. Zion is a good rebounder. DeJounte is a good rebounder for a guard. So it's really blocks only for Messi at this point. Alvarado had 11 points, 3 assists, a steal off the bench, but only 15 minutes. That's a little bit underwhelming. Brandon Boston sort of out of nowhere played 21 minutes, had 12 points with 4 steals. I wouldn't be rushing to add him either. Minnesota at Phoenix. We must be getting close to the end, aren't we? 2 more. There you go, 2 more. And then we'll get into some questions, but I'm heading out tonight, so I do have to wrap this thing up. All right, Minnesota. Jaden McDaniels continues his strong play. This wasn't as good, but 14, 6 and 3, 2 steals. So he's a very firm hold at the moment. Julius Randle had probably his best game as a Timberwolf. 28, 7 and 6 with 3 steals. Gobert, the other end of that equation. Two blocks and a steal is good, but 5 rebounds and 4 points. This was the Gobert we were getting 2 weeks ago. So, someone send him a letter and tell him to try harder on the offensive end. Mike Conley, we've talked about him. He's probably a hold playing 30 minutes, but you don't have to. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, finally did something with his opportunity, 23 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. I think if both of them are available in your league, Conley is slightly safer because he's starting. But as we saw in this one, Nickeil Alexander-Walker has more upside, I think, especially on the offensive end. Conley is pretty steady in assists, and the steals are generally okay as well. For Phoenix here. Did I say who won? Minnesota won. I keep forgetting to say that. 121 to 113. They get the win. The Suns, Tyus Jones, he cooled way off. This is why I've said I don't think he has to be rostered. 5 points, 3 assists, and a steal. Devin Booker was good. Royce O'Neal started. He had 4 points with 2 steals. The minutes are really encouraging here, 32 of them. He will be better than this generally, so I'm okay holding him. Ryan Dunn only played 9 minutes. He's obviously dealing with that ankle injury. I'm surprised he played, to be honest. There was no word of an aggravation here, but I wouldn't be surprised if he misses a game or two as a result of this. Beal had 17 points. Grayson Allen, 3 threes in his 11 points. He's worth streaming in. Nick Richards, 7 and 5 in 25 minutes. So this is what we're going to have to expect with Richards. Very up and down. The minutes will be determined on who they're playing, how he's playing. They just went small. They just went with Grayson Allen. They went with Bradley Beal. Nick Richards was sort of phased out a little bit in this one. I'm still holding him, but this is why I don't have his upside anywhere near like a Mark Williams or a Khalil Ware or anything like that. And the last game of the night, the Oklahoma City Thunder lose to the Golden State Warriors, 116-109. Shai, 52 points. He had 31 at halftime, I think. So 52 points. Didn't actually do a lot else here, and that's probably a reflection on how bad his teammates were. 4 assists, 3 rebounds, 1 steal. Jalen Williams had 26, 7 and 2, 2 steals and a block. So other than the free throws, which weirdly he went 0 of 2, after going 7 of 7, I think, in the last game, something like that. Hartenstein, really weird night for him. 18 rebounds, 6 assists, a block. Amazing. 4 points on 2 of 10 shooting. That's just weird. He probably won't shoot that bad again all season. And Lou Dort, he was Lou Dort, 4 points, 1 steal. And I mean, you look down the box score here, other than Isaiah Joe, who contributed 5 threes off the bench, they just got nothing offensively from the supporting cast. 4 from Lou Dort, 2 from Cason Wallace, 2 from Jay Will, 2 from Aaron Wiggins, 0 from Kenrich Williams, 0 from Usman Jiang. So, yeah, just a bad game other than Shai and Jalen Williams and Isaiah Joe. Cason Wallace still had 3 steals, so he is fine. Alex Caruso also, he played 22 seconds for some reason. Golden State, yeah, and I mean, you look down the Warriors box score here, it's not great. You're not looking at this and going, well, they must have won. It was just that the Thunder, as I said, they got no support for Shai. Wiggins had 27, 4 and 2 with a steal and a block. Quinton Post started for whatever reason, played 8 minutes, did nothing. Trace Jackson-Davis didn't touch the floor in this one, so that really just a nail in that coffin. You can go ahead and drop him everywhere. Kevon Looney had 18 points with 4 blocks off the bench, so I don't think we'll see that again maybe all season. But good to see him out there. I think of him as an old-timer. I was going to say good to see the old-timer out there, but he's not that old. Schroeder, after sort of blowing up last night, he had 9 and 7 with a steal. This is why he is not a must-roster player. Steph had 21 and 4. Buddy Hield, why is he still starting? 5 points in 15 minutes. Pajemski, only 18 minutes. This is why it makes it really hard to trust anyone in this Warriors team, because Steve Kerr is just going to run with whoever is playing the best on any given night. Pajemski had been at 30 minutes the last couple, and now he's down at 18. So I've said outside of Wiggins and Curry, I don't think you need to hold anyone here. Even Draymond Green, I think we can move on from him. All right, that's all the games. Let's do some very quick questions. I probably won't get to all of them. Okay, Shining Knight. Stewart is 100% getting suspended. Let's hope so. Okay, so we're looking at... there's some stuff. Okay, Army helicopter. Anyway, we don't need to talk about that. That's the Washington thing. Okay, this is a pretty common question. How can I stop overvaluing my own players when someone offers me a trade? Feel like I miss out on a lot. Yes, look, it's pretty common because you go into any trade and you want to come out as a winner. So for me, I think the easiest way that I do it is just if you use Basketball Monster, look at the rankings. If you're in a specific build, so punting, whatever categories, plug that into their player rankings, and it will give you, ranks, obviously they're not everything, but it will give you an indication of, yes, this guy is playing really well, but he doesn't fit my build necessarily. So he might be a top 40 player, and you're thinking, okay, yeah, he's a top 40 player. I have to move him for a top 40 or a top 30 player, or he's playing at that level. But if you look in your build, he might be top 90. And then you could say, okay, well, I'm actually prepared here to let him go for a top 50, but I'm getting a guy that's top 20 in my build, but only top 60. Like, there's a lot of moving pieces there, obviously, but that is one way of doing it. The other way is just having a look at production now or last week, last 2 weeks, and comparing that to the season or their career, if you can, depending on how experienced they are. It is a tough thing to do, though. It is tough to not overvalue players, and it's especially if you're in multiple leagues. I think it's a bit easier because you're not attached to 12 players. Like, I'm in 12 leagues or something. I've got different players. I've probably got 60 players that are across my rosters. So I'm not, other than Dyson Daniels, I'm not attached to anyone. So if you're in one league or two leagues, you're very connected to those players. Maybe you drafted them. So it does make it, it does make it tough. It's a tough thing to do. Chad, maybe they did mean a business week for Kobe. So 5 days. Yeah, who knows? Can either drop Westbrook or Scoot to claim Gafford. Originally drop Westbrook and then change it to Scoot. Yeah, I think you could drop. Scoot. Yeah, again, in your league, he's not a guy you have to hold. Honestly, Westbrook as well. I think they're not top 30 players or anything like that. I do remember, Chad, when Peyton Pritchard was front runner for Sixth Man of the Year. After that first month, it was that cooled off in a hurry, didn't it? What else have we got here? Scoot could have a top 50. I don't know if he gets that high. Maybe. Depends. Points league. I was going to say depends on your build, but in a points league, yeah, he could. I have zero confidence in the Blazers, though. I'm holding him in a few leagues, but they're standard leagues, so it's a little bit different. Harden tanked my free throws. What did he? I didn't even look at his free throws. Where is he? 4 of 7. What's going on there? Yeah, that's very un-Harden-like, isn't it? Is this a realistic stat line for Kawhi? Well, he can certainly do it. Realistic? Look, if he's playing 30 minutes a night, the 27 points are probably on the high end. I'd have him down in the low 20s, like 22, 23. But he's a decent rebounder. He didn't get a steal here, so theoretically he should probably get you 1 to 2 steals a game as well. So, yeah, there'd be a little bit of shuffling there, but yeah, I think he can be this good. We know how good he is. Ricardo, PJ's usage will decrease when Luka returns. It will, yes. Now is a sell high for him, I think. Gafford has been putting up top 10 per game numbers lately in the points league. So Gafford projected to be top 28 in a points league, 17 and 11. Do I think he's this good? I don't think he's this good. But can he put up these numbers? Yeah, look, I mean, maybe. I just don't think he's a great player. He's certainly a lot better than he used to be. I think we will hit a wall at some point here with Lively out, with Gafford playing big minutes. I feel like that we'll come to a point where he has a week or two of mediocre performances. But all in all, yeah, look, I think he can probably be close 15 to 16. Remember, Luca will come back. Yeah, probably roughly these numbers. The rebound numbers are going to stick and the blocks will stick. Dante Exum return is imminent. It is. Do we think he craters the value of Grimes? Well, I mean, Grimes doesn't have a lot of value anyway at this point. Luca could be back as well at the same time. So, yeah, look, this last month has been best case scenario for Grimes, and he hasn't done a lot with it. So, Trey's usage is currently unsustainable. Yeah, it could be. I mean, we don't know. Well, we don't know what's happening with Brandon Ingram. Yeah. And look, his usage is high, but he also gets his value from defensive stuff. He's efficient. So it's not all usage. Obviously, that is helping with his scoring. But yes, if you do want to sell high, I think, as I said, you can. What have we got? Herb is probably... Yeah, I don't think Herb is returning. Have we got down towards the bottom now because I have to move off. Okay, here's one from Ernest. You have Suggs and Kessler in your IL spot. Assuming both play tomorrow, who should I drop? Between Shaden Sharp, Tobias, and Keontae, or should I just hold them in my IL? Well, I think Kessler is questionable at this point, isn't he? And Suggs is probably questionable as well. Who would I drop there? Yeah, it's... I don't know. I mean, Kessler's the one, I guess, that stands out because he's very different to the others in terms of skill set. So if you need blocks and rebounds, you probably want to get him active. Suggs, I probably wouldn't worry about activating him because you've got players there that are somewhat comparable. The Magic also have Paolo and Franz there now, obviously. So I don't think Suggs is going to come back and play 32 minutes and blow everyone away. So I would probably keep Suggs in my IR spot. Kessler would be the one. If you need to drop one of those guys, I wouldn't be dropping Sharp. I think he could be a bit of a stash kind of guy. Tobias, he was good today. Keontae's been up and down, but his minutes are there. Oh, that's a tough one. Probably Tobias, I guess. But as I said, it's very, very stat dependent there, I think. Yes, I have, Chad. You are correct. It seems I draft teams based on free throw percentage and what they've done in the past, and then they come into my team and they're just terrible. So I will take the blame for that one. Is Nick Richards a back-end player in 12 teams? Yeah, that's what he is. Top 120, top 140 maybe. Kind of want to drop him for Ellis or Jalen Smith or Sohan. Look, I think you could. Nick Richards, to me, is not going to be a league winner or a difference maker. As we've seen in the last 2 weeks, his rebound numbers are okay, but his role chops and changes a little bit. Jalen Smith, I think, has more upside if we're looking at stash potential, as does Ellis, I suppose, to some degree. Sohan, I think, is probably just someone you want to have over Richards anyway. I know he hasn't been great, but I think he'll be better. He was coming off a back injury. How does Luka affect Gafford? He affects him a little bit. He probably takes a couple of rebounds, maybe 1 or 2 away from him. Doesn't really impact his blocks at all. So, look, I think you probably shave a little bit off what he's been doing offensively and in terms of rebounds, but everything else should stick. And how likely is a Vooch trade? I don't know. We've been asking this question for 2 years. I would... We haven't really heard anything. I would say we're probably 50-50 on a Vooch trade at this point. But we are only a week away, so we'll find out soon. Okay, I've got to go. Things to do, people to see, movies to see. I'll be back in the morning, live mailbag show with Josh over on his channel. Pre-game show Saturday morning, Friday afternoon. I will be doing trade talk with Noah Rubin and a pre-game show as well. You'll get 4 shows over the next couple of days. So that will be, you'll get 6 shows because you'll also get 2 post-game shows. So 6 shows in the next 2 days. That's a lot of shows. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Please go and download, do all of that stuff, everything that we ask. Really appreciate that. I'm Adam King. This has been the Balls Deep post-game show. Until next time, catch ya.
You just listened to another episode from the Fantasy Basketball International Podcast Network. Thanks for joining us. And for more information about joining our community, please check out our website at fbibasketball.com.